Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me here on Rooted in Rising, where we talk about the tough stuff and we just really get deep down into stories with various different people. And today I'm really fortunate to bring to you Dr. Stem, who's talking to us from Boston this morning. But what a wealth of information and knowledge and talent, and so grateful to have met you and that our paths have aligned to be able to do this work together and have such deep conversations. I really mean, there's so many questions that I would love to ask you so that our listeners can get a grasp of what it is that you do. But I want to start it off by the fact that you have written 35 books.
50.
50? Okay. All right. 50. So your website needs to be updated with that number.
Yes, it does.
50 books. Okay. So now I'm even more blown away than I was when I started. Yeah, I mean, that's just it's obvious to me the passion that you have for what you do. And why don't I just let you take this time to share a little bit about yourself and why it is that you do what you do?
Thank you so much. I'm very excited that our paths met and that we will be collaborating. And this is our second collaboration.
Yeah.
You came to mine, and I'm now here at yours. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here. I am Dr. Stem, but my full name is Stembile Matlatini. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, the firstborn of seven children that my mother calls beautiful children. Up to today, even at age 60, she calls me, she's like, beautiful children. I'm like, Mom, I'm not a child. She's like, yes, you always be my child.
Oh.
My passion to be a therapist, an encourager, a person that loves to empower and uplift people is rooted, in my parents, both my mom and my dad, were people that we grew up in Zimbabwe, but there was always people that came to the house and asking them for advice and asking
Mm.
them, to intervene in marriages, and they would do marriage counseling, but not per se marriage counseling, but like we know now, but now I know and I see where all of that came from. And they just
Mhm.
talked and they say, well, we were just talking to people. And every time that we go to a gathering, the first person that will be asked to pray is my mother. And then they will ask my dad to do a little speech. We didn't know at that moment that I was watching, and I'm a motivational speaker, I'm an inspirational speaker. I love just being in an audience. And many a time, I don't even have time to prepare. I will be sitting in a conference and somebody says, "Oh, Dr. Stem is here. Can you say something?" And I'm leaving, exactly what I watched my parents. They were just
Oh.
called at the whim, and then they would just speak and say something, and everybody's like, "Oh, that was powerful." So I'm a Christian. I'm a believer, and I believe that, God makes no mistakes. And I also believe that as a person, a child of God, there's a purpose for me here, and I don't do it alone. So I let myself not be afraid and allow God to work through me. So when I came in 1985 to America, first time in America, no relatives, no one here except God.
Mm.
So I was afraid. I didn't know how I was going to acclimate. I was going to fit in. I was in a small city, Rapid City, South Dakota. So the first thing that I did was to write a little book, which at that time I was just writing to console myself, to also, you know, build on my confidence in my self esteem, the power of prayer and belief. I
Mm.
needed to instill in myself that if you pray and believe, God will see you through. And I knew that if I get aligned with Him, all things are possible, with Him. So that was the first book that I wrote. And the second one was It's Time to Shift from
Mm.
Fear to Faith. because I was sitting there and now I was afraid to stand up. I was afraid that my accent, because, I mean, I still have my accent, and today I celebrate my accent. When I came 40 years ago, I was afraid because everybody said, "Can you repeat yourself again? I can't understand you with that accent." So I
Mm.
became scared of speaking. And I was, anticipate that I'm going to be asked to repeat myself. So how do I say it, differently? And people would say, slow down, slow down, slow down, because you're speaking too fast. So I would slow down and, say something very slow, but it depleted my self-esteem and also heightened my anxiety. So I wrote, It's time to shift from fear to faith. And the third one was finding your true self. And once I wrote that one, the rest is history. So, yeah. So before I've even finished that, those three books are my foundation. And as a result, I went into the studios and I read them myself as the author, the three books. So you hear my true story from those three books, including my memoir, that I also wrote after finding your true self. I wrote my memoir as well, so I read four books and they are free on YouTube, so your listeners can go on YouTube and literally listen to me read each book. And it's amazing because it's been so many years and I have transitioned and transformed, and we'll talk about that. But this week I found myself going back on YouTube and listening to myself, and I couldn't help but just cry because I could hear that, stem that was then 40 years ago, scared, afraid, and just, walking by the thread of prayer and belief that something will
Mm.
happen. I don't know when, I don't know how, didn't know that it was going to be 40 years later, but 50 something books of just inspiration, encouragement, and empowerment. So I'm a mental health professional. I'm a licensed psychotherapist in private practice, and I just moved here in Boston about a month ago, where my mom is, my dad and my mom are no longer together. So dad lives in Zimbabwe, mom lives here in Boston, and my siblings live in Boston and Anchorage, Alaska.
Wow. All right. That is, I mean, what beautiful paths for us to
Yes,
walk down. I mean, there's
yes,
so many different layers there. And I can't help but comment. I mean, you had an amazing foundation.
yes,
That is such
yes,
an awesome foundation. And
yes,
the word rooted came to mind as you were talking about how difficult it was to move here. And then to have those things happen as you're trying to develop yourself and become blossom into this flower. There's little pieces that are like, hey, you do this and you do that, and you have the self-esteem. I mean, that makes so much sense. It's
yeah.
it's kind of funny to me that when you think about it, we all have an accent. It's not just you. I have an accent. We all have an accent. I think
Isn't
it's
that
some,
interesting?
it
Yeah,
is, it is,
yeah,
it's funny.
yeah. So, when you mention flower, right? As we envision a flower growing, many a time we envision somebody watering the flower.
Mm,
The writing of the books made me realize that sometimes you as a human being do not have to wait to be watered.
yeah.
You've got to water yourself in order to blossom. So I
Right.
started writing as a way to water myself. I play
Mm.
gospel music, on YouTube. Again, there's a show called Let's Praise Him with Dr. Stem. I play gospel music. Again, another way of watering myself whilst I also water others.
Oh, wonderful. That's
Yeah,
amazing. I love that. That's a really great analogy too, because we know factually that if we don't give ourselves food, that we will starve and
starve.
wither, much
Yes,
like a plant, right?
yes,
But I don't think that we often consider that what we feed our soul is equally, if not more important than the actual food.
yes,
But so many of us don't come with those tools. There's not a handbook that our parents are given. And then therefore they don't have the handbook to pass down. I mean, there's certainly many blessed people that have great foundations and their parents are equipped, but for those that aren't, And, sometimes by the time you realize I need a handbook, you often feel it's too late. But then the question pops up, is it really?
No.
Right.
Yeah, no. So there's freedom in also detaching ourselves from the expectation
Mm,
that our parents are supposed to give us the tools, they're supposed to know it all.
right.
There's freedom in flying and allowing ourselves to just free float and meet people like yourself and meet other people who water us and also guide us and give us the direction that we need and give us the
Right.
tools for clarity that we need. I
Right.
always give an analogy to many people as I do my counseling and coaching. Our parents are there, to give us the life and
Hmm.
foundation as much as they know or to the extent that they were also taught or lived their
Mm,
life. But there comes a time where we have to take the baton. So the relay that you can work relay and you go on and give somebody else a baton. I say close your eyes and envision running this race. You're in mommy's tummy, you get born, they're running the relay, with you. But at some point, you have to put your hand and get the baton because now they're no longer able to run with you, whether it's age, whether it's illness, whether it's, that you're now grown up. But at some point, all of us, if we are lucky enough, our parents will be the ones that says, here, you
mm,
take the baton, run, 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 run,
mhm.
run, learn as much as you can, live the best life that you can. We're going to send you out into the world and do it. Sometimes it's not like that. They might not be able to give you the baton, and you're going to have to reach out and get the baton and say, it's time for me to run this race to the
Mhm.
best of my ability. And if you're blessed enough, you get to pass it on to your children.
Mm,
And many people get stuck where, but my parents didn't even do that. They didn't even give me the baton. They didn't even give me the foundation, of how to even live this life. But they gave you what they knew.
yeah.
And they couldn't have given you anything more. They were empty at that point. Did they do well? Hmm, who's to say? But at the end of the day, you are responsible for your life. At age 10, 20, 50, 60, 80, will you reach back and say, I take it, I receive it, it's time for me to run this race. So it's never too late to reach back, whether they're here or they're gone, and you can literally say, I got it now. This is my one life. What do I want to do with this one life that I have?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, beautifully said. That's a beautiful analogy
Yeah.
for me because at the end of the day we are in the race. All right, here we are. We're a living,
Yes.
breathing human being. What are we going to do with our story at this
Yes.
point? And I think that old adage, you are where you are because you choose to be, is really so
Yes.
relative in so many different scenarios. And I know
Yeah.
that this is one area that a lot of folks will struggle in. Well, I didn't choose to have this debilitating disease, or I didn't choose to lose my job, or I didn't choose, right? But at the end of the day, you choose how you react to those
Exactly.
things. And I think that ownership is something that is difficult for a lot of folks to realize. It's so empowering once you realize you do have that ability to choose. But getting to that front door is often not an easy road for one to travel.
You're right. And you
Mm.
mentioned jobs. Right now, a lot of people are losing
Hmm.
their jobs,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But what you say is true. It's not what happens to us that
Right,
matters,
right,
it's how we respond or react.
right,
So, of course, the first thing is going to be reaction. Why me? And why is this
right,
happening now? And how am I going to pay the bills? And I want to take
right.
care of the children.
Yeah,
And we react like that because it is unexpected.
yeah,
But we also have the choice to respond,
right.
to receive what is as is. to
Right.
look at different options of, sufficing and providing that financial, support that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Many people are used to working and having a job. What is this is the pivot area where you start making those dumplings and selling those dumplings that
Yeah.
everybody has always said, "Oh, I love the way you cook your dumplings." You're like, "Oh, there is it to me." Or somebody says, "You know what? I love the way that you help me deal with this situation because just talking to you really helped me open
Yeah.
up and then I change this." That's coaching.
Mm,
And you could be a coach. And people
right.
are like, "How am I going to go to school?" And the good thing about it is doing coaching programs and talking to people or doing a course to provide the service that we need, it's not 4 years or 6 years or doctor, that I had to
Right.
go through No, you go through a 6 month course, a 3 month course, and here you are sitting in there. And welcome. My name is Betty, and I am your coach.
Yeah, right,
And you're
right.
like, "Me? I'm actually a certified coach." Yes, you are.
Yeah,
You're already certified, because of the gift that you have. So that's where it starts. And that's what excites me when I work with people that are now trying to find their true self,
mm,
finding clarity again, rebooting and resetting on where do I start? What do I want to do? Because they find within themselves some strength that they never knew that they had. But this, losing the job has been that ignition, the light that they needed to say, "Okay, I guess I better do something else, or I better market myself, anew, because I haven't
right,
looked for a job in 20 years." And let that not scare you,
right.
because then there could be somebody somewhere looking for the talent that you have and expertise and experience that you have.
Right, right, exactly. And as you're talking, I mean, that's definitely, I think the first thing that happens for most people when something like that comes into their life, oh my gosh, I lost a job, right? All of a
Yes,
sudden it's like triage. Okay, so we need to stop the bleeding. We need to like get ourselves in a position where we can breathe, and we need to like maybe cut out the outside forces,
yes,
because the outside forces are most often a destructive force. So if we can sit there with ourselves, take a breath, and go, okay, this is where I'm at right now. What is the gift in this? That's a hard question to ask, right? That's not always the first question people are going
yes,
to be able to ask.
yes,
But what am I able to do
yes,
is empowering, because we do have choices, and I
yes,
love that, exploring some of the gifts that you may have that other people have commented on. We may not believe that we can be a dumpling queen, but we can do what we need to do to get by. And maybe it does unfold to something, but we're using our gifts and our talents to help ourselves stay rooted and not completely fall apart. It's very tough right now for people. It's hard
it
to,
is.
we can say that, you and I can say that
Yeah,
because we're not in that position. I've been in that position. It's a
me
very
too.
scary position, kind
Me
of like
too.
the turtle, right? Yeah, exactly.
Me
Upside
too.
down, all your legs are going all crazy. Where am I gonna, who's gonna flip me over? I mean,
Yeah.
so
But
we're,
that's why it's important, sorry, to not do it alone.
yeah, yeah,
Because then we have been through it to
right,
learn the tools to support someone else
right.
that will fall into the path that we went through. So
Yeah.
that's what's empowering about it, that we all have stories. I come
Mm-hmm.
to Boston right now, not because of my will, but because of circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I didn't fight it. But before I would fight that, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do this. And universe asks, what is it that you really, really want? And I look at my vision boards that I've written throughout the years. I look at what I want and it says, okay, do you want to do it your way? Because you're 60 years old now. How much of it has come to pass? And you're like, nothing sustained. But I
Yeah.
would want it to open up more and to really stay. Well, then you need to move. Okay, I can't
Right.
fight it now. But again, even as a coach and a therapist, I have to work with another coach and therapists that are more seasoned than myself that can also help me to get grounded. So
Mm,
from the time that I started being in therapy, and I've been in private practice now nearly 30 years, I also have been in therapy 30 years. I also have had a coach, my coach 15 years,
love
so
it.
that I can, sit in the space that my own clients will be sitting in, vulnerable, hopeless,
Yeah,
helpless, and just not knowing, which direction to go. And
right.
then we get to talk and they get to help me and I get to try things. I get to fall, I get to fail, but then I get back up again because I know that with family and also these professionals, they're sustaining me and I'm not doing it alone, right?
Mm,
So that helps me. So that also helps me to stand here and sit here and say to someone else, yes, I can help you and I can hold you, hold your hand and I can help you be accountable, so that you can move from where you are to where you're supposed to be,
mm,
because there's greatness in you. When you see yourself struggle, when you see yourself, there's greatness in you that needs to come out to take you to the next level. Sometimes we get stagnant, we get content, and then life happens, and then we realize that, oh, I'm still here. I still need to live. I still need to be alive, but we don't know where to stand. So, okay, boom, your name is on the list of people that are being laid off. What? I did so well and I was
yeah.
doing this here. Well, but then you need to grow. And there's so much in you that the world needs. And you now is the time and opportunity because now you're open for restart and reset. And it takes time to get to that point. And as you say, you've got to take care of yourself. I have people that are coming to me now and they say, to be honest with you, I don't even know what to tell to do with myself because I have not taken a break for the
Mm,
last 10 years. I've been showing up. I never took a break, you know. So maybe this is happening for you to take that 1 week break, that 2 week break, 3 week break that you deserve after 10 years of just going and going and going. And then
mm,
that's where we can help, each other to help you sustain yourself, getting some coping skills, getting to rewire that mindset that says, if I don't show up, I don't get paid. If
mm.
I don't get a job, I don't get paid, because that is not true.
Right, right. I love how you just made that so relative as well. Like, a very successful woman still does the work. I
Yes.
love that. And a good coach always has a good coach. And I think it's so easy for us. And I remember feeling this way. I would look up at people who I deemed successful,
Yeah.
and I would just think to myself, there's no way. I mean, they're so well put together and polished, not realizing that how they appear on the outside, they're still on this awesome journey on the inside. And it's a beautiful transformation that
Yes.
I am only through my rose-colored lenses
Yeah.
seeing what I think I see.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that connection and that inclusivity of us all being on our own journey and we're all working towards and helping, being able to help another it just makes it feel like there's not such a big divide,
Yes,
you
we're
know?
we're all a work in progress. We're all a
Right.
work in progress, and the 50 something books tells you the real struggles and the real me.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah, that I kept showing up. I kept showing up, but as I tried to show off, I'm like, but I can't do it. So as I'm writing it, I'm thinking, you know what? There's somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one, but there's
Right.
somebody else, I was sharing on one group yesterday on Facebook, and I said one of the things that I didn't realize is when you pray and you ask, right? I prayed and asked to be more than an ordinary servant.
Mm,
I said, I want my light to shine so bright that other people can kindle, rekindle their own light through my light.
mm,
And oh boy, and God says, okay, you can do that. But you're going to have to be prepared. And I need to prepare you. to be able to let that light shine through you.
Love it.
I need to mold you, and you've got to go through
Mm,
everything or nearly everything that the people that will come to you have gone through or are experiencing. I need it to be an experience that you will breathe and say, okay, God, I see it. I hear her because I see myself in that. And let God
wow.
do the work.
What a gift. What a beautiful gift. And and I talk about that a lot, shining your light. It's
Yes.
really, I don't know that people really understand to the degree that they even have a light and that
Yes.
it is worthy of shining on others, and the fact that I mean, it's evident even without authoring so many books that you love to shine your light, especially when someone else may have difficulty shining theirs, and
Yes.
in the darkness.
Yes.
It just,
Standing.
that's such a beautiful gift to be able to share with people,
Yeah.
at
Standing
a
in the
time
gap.
when it's so needed.
Standing in the gap. Standing in the gap. I heard people saying sometimes you need someone to stand in the gap in prayer. And that was years and years ago. And I said, oh, I can stand in the gap too when they come to me and say, I don't know, I've lost everything or I've lost myself. I don't know who I am. And just be there to stand in the gap so that they again can just have a mirror, that they can look at themselves through you and they can speak through you, but
Mm,
get deeper into that who they have become, but get back to who they really truly are. Because that's
right.
what, yeah, that's what it's all about for us to get back into our true selves on who we truly are. And that is that baby that they hit in the bum and they say, man, we go, "Ah!" And while I'm crying as a baby, everybody's like, oh, it's a baby girl. So I
That's
think we need to get back into that childlike state where everybody's, still excited, but then sometimes we don't have earthly excitement that
mm,
was there because people are born in different situations, circumstances, right? But that, that person, that higher power, that God, that created us is the one that celebrates the most. So if there are
hmm
no earthly people that you can relate to as celebrating you, let's look into that person or that power that created you because you are supposed to be here.
right, right. Like you said, there are no mistakes.
No
That
mistakes.
brings to mind a question. If somebody were sitting here today saying, yeah, I just don't believe in that. I just don't think that's for me. I don't think, I'm just not going to go down that road. How would you answer that? How would you explain to them that they are a part?
And it's one of those catch 22 questions and answers, I'll tell you. Because, like we said at the beginning, there's a choice
Hmm
whether we want to respond or react. And in some reactions, people find contentment and they find their grounding. So, no matter how much I want you to be able to get into the response, section where you understand that you're here for a purpose, you understand that there's a, calling on your life to
mm
live the best that you can. Yeah, you don't have to be a businessman person. You don't have to be this, person that is highlighted on the social media, but just being you will enlighten your life. And as you find yourself and live your life, according to the best of your ability, that you can say, you know what? I'm okay with my life. And I have people that are like that. And they're like, I'm okay with my life. And
hmm
that's good enough
Right.
to
Perfect.
be okay with your life. And then
Yeah.
there's some people that say, but I'm not comfortable with this. I just think there's more to me and there's
Mm,
more to life. Those are people that are willing and ready to move to that response cycle.
mm.
Find yourself, okay, what else can you do? Let's go through some of the things that you enjoy doing. Close your eyes. If life was perfect today, describe to me what would it look
Yeah.
like? And they go,
Right.
I'll be going on a cruise and I'll be hanging out with, maybe women that are ambitious and they are doing way better than I am. They're multimillionaires or they're doing this here. Find them or create a group that will invite those perspectives that want to do like you want to do and more.
Hmm.
Invite those that already have been there. Let them tell their story. Read a
Mm.
book about those that have walked the path and take the directions or the advice that they're giving in there. People are very generous. They're
Yes.
writing these books and they're generous. So for buying a hardcover book for $24 and you get a lifetime of advice,
Right.
to pay $500 and get somebody to walk you step by step, or even $2,000, but they walk you step by step and you get results, priceless.
Right. 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 That's true. That's true. How do you put a price tag on that?
You
You
can't.
know, I love how you answered that question because it felt inclusive no matter which direction. And it brought me back to when we first talked, and this has never left my mind. I think of it often, coming to the table and making space at a
Mm,
table for people. And I just love that so much. And I've shared that with so many people that, it oftentimes we feel like there's tables that are set up of different groups of people and that we may not belong or may
yes.
not feel welcome at those tables. And walk us through a little bit how it is that you feel about the table. I'd love you to share again about the table. Just a favorite.
I hope it comes out the same way because each time I describe it, it's always different. And as you mentioned, right, there are many tables that we want to be invited to, and many tables that we get invited to, but then we don't fit in. And you can feel it when you're sitting at that table that I'm not welcome. Trust that gut feeling
Mhm.
when you just don't feel like you're fitting in or you are welcome. So I never say no to any table. I go, but now my senses have heightened up where I feel it, I know it, or just understand that maybe my light, that light, because every time I walk somewhere, I come somewhere, that light is shining brightly, but it's going to be too bright for some people and it's
Mm,
going to be sometime too dimming for some people, that your
mm,
light overpowers their light without you even doing anything or saying anything.
mm.
Trust that feeling and do not continue to force yourself to
Yeah,
sit at these tables.
yeah,
Sometimes we are created to start our own
yeah,
table and not just fit in to the on in somebody else's table. Remember now that that table was created by someone who was ambitious, who was
mm,
curious, who was lonely, who was alone, and decided to invite others that would
mm,
help them grow, that will help them become more stable or steady or clear on their path. You
mm.
too can create yours depending on where you are and what it is that you want to provide.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said. I think that's so important to
Yes.
understand that. So important. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna, yeah, to try
Yeah.
to explain this to my grandson at 4
Yes. I know.
is going to be really, really important because I think once we realize that concept, it just makes things feel so much more possible. It's
Yes.
the door's opened.
The door is open.
Yeah,
And I came from Zimbabwe, I mean, and I say to people, I'm coming from Zimbabwe in Africa,
yeah,
and came in with such enthusiasm that I started looking and continue to look to those who are doing better than me.
yeah,
And all I say is, listen, you were carried in the womb just like I was carried in the womb. You almost maybe came out cesarean section and I came natural birth. But at the end of the day, we are all equal.
Hmm.
The ambition
Yes.
that you have in you, I have it in me. So that means if you can do it,
Yes.
I can do it.
So important.
If they can do it, we can do it and
Yes.
provide, put together a team for yourself. But here's another thing. Once you get a table that you fit in and you see that it's very helpful and the people's hearts are great hearts that are open for more people to come, do not forget to invite
Mm.
somebody else or to advocate for another chair
Mm.
to be added to that table. Because sometimes,
Yeah.
we get six and it's like, oh, we got six women. How about if we extend and put in an extension to the table?
Yeah.
Ladies, could we invite two more people and or two more people each and just grow so
Hmm.
that we can have two more people? Because I know when I was alone and I didn't have anyone, it was really hard.
Hmm.
But being here with all of you, I get excited every week to hear whose testimonial or my, sharing a
Yeah.
testimony. I feel for that other person that has not found you because as I look around and I see six, what about those other thousands that are out
Yeah.
there? Where are they sitting and where are they fitting in? And you could be the one that advocates for an extension and two more chairs to be added and 20 more chairs to be added. Hence, because right now we have more women groups,
Hmm.
than ever before. And people are like, well, there's so many groups. Well, but they're not for everyone. This group
Right.
has 1,000, but we have billions of people, and that one has 600 billions of people, and that one has 10. But they come up on social media as if they have 10,000, but there's only 10 of them in there,
Yeah.
which means there's more for us to have more tables started and also extension to the current tables that are already there.
Hmm. Right, right, exactly. And you know what it reminds me
Yeah.
that everybody is a leader
Yes.
of the table.
Yes.
There's no one singular boss of the table. We all are leaders. From the day we're born, we're
Yeah.
born leaders.
Yes.
And I think that's often it's for me, it was a surprise when I learned that. I was really surprised to learn
That you're a leader?
we're all born leaders.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was a leader being the oldest of eight, so I mean, I just had seven little ducks behind me. I didn't really think
That's
that
me
was leadership.
too.
I thought it was babysitter stuff. But as we grow and evolve and do the work, you realize that we all are coming to the table, like you just said. We're all equal, right? We might have had different forms of birth, but we're all here with the same agenda. We want to matter. People want to matter. That's it. I mean, there's no greater way to describe why we breathe. We want to breathe for a purpose and we want to be noticed. We don't want to be invisible. And I think right now I can feel the energy when I go out into the world. There's such a disconnect and such a level of sadness, despair, hopelessness, confusion, all of these different emotions, and I'm not saying collectively the whole world is that way, but I think that right now
Yes.
we've got something we need to pay attention to. And we need to look at our neighbors and we need to look at those around us and go, wow, you know what? Come to my table. Have some grace for
Yes.
people. Extend a hand, extend a smile. You may not feel that you can possibly create a table at this point, but does that stop the smile?
You're right. You're right.
You know?
It's interesting you saying that, because sometimes unintentionally we also can extend that table or that grace to someone else. I'm a
Yeah.
trainer as well. I'm an employee assistance professional, so I do corporate trainings.
Mm.
So this week I was supposed to do a practice run with a very large company, and we scheduled it for 9 o'clock on Monday. So I wake up and I go on my thing, quarter off 9. I'm starting to try and find the link. I cannot find the link for the practice run. And I go, okay, breathe. I couldn't find it. So I emailed the lady and I said, good morning. I'm so sorry. I just can't find that link. Would you be so kind to send me the link? And the lady wrote to me at the same time. I sent that one. She sent me an email. As I sent one, she had sent me one and said, Dr. Sam, would you mind if we reschedule this? Because they sent me the wrong slides for the training. The ones, for you, the ones they send me is for another training for another trainer, but not for yours. So would you be so kind to give me time to, email them, the corporate company, and get the right slides in there. So instead of me, because right now we email, we text message, we social media message, I called and I said, "Good morning, ma'am. This is Dr. Stem." Hey, Dr. Stem. Thank you for we've never spoken. I don't know her from and she said, "Thank you so much for calling. You could just see here."
Hmm.
And I said, "Ma'am, I decided to call you because with the emails and the I impersonal to me, but thank you for letting me know, because guess what, I couldn't find the link." She's like, "I saw the email right now." I said, "So this is perfect. Let's do it a week away so that you have time to put it together and I have time to make sure that I retain the link and have the link." So we laughed, just like, you did.
Right.
We laughed. She's like, "Oh, thank you so much." I said, "No, thank you." Because I was beginning to think, wait a minute, what did I do? And here you are. So people are that frantic.
Right.
Nobody is perfect. Let's just take a
Right.
step back and say, you know what? What's the best way for me to respond and not
Hmm.
react? Because some people would have been like, well, I blocked my time for today. Send me the link and let's do it anywhere.
Wow. Yeah.
But then that's a reaction, right?
Right.
It's my
Right.
time and, this time is for you and don't waste my time this way. But then you could take a step back and say, you know what? It
Right.
won't hurt anything. The training is
Right.
in 2 weeks. If we do it next week, we still have a
Exactly.
practice run, which is 10, 15 minutes. That's okay.
Right.
And she made my day. I made her day.
Perfect. I love that. I love how the universe shows up for us if we just let it.
If we just let it, and that's the key.
If we,
Relaxation, being relaxed, being at
hmm.
peace, being not set in our own ways. This is the perfect time for that growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. So we
Mm,
need to shift from the fixed mindset. Things are supposed to be this way. I always do things this way. People don't treat me this way. No, you can't. And I'm not going to allow this. It's time for us to be more flexible with
mm.
ourselves first, and then with those around us and the rest of the world.
I love that. I love that. And that just came at perfect timing, for us to wrap up our time together with
Ah,
growth mindset on the mind. What are some ways that you would explain to somebody if they're sitting there right now going, all right, how do I have a growth mindset? Where do I start? How would you answer that?
the first thing is they need to join me tomorrow. Or maybe this is going to be past, but I will have the recording of it on my YouTube channel. I'm doing a success mindset free webinar training tomorrow, and I'm going to send you, the links and everything. They can come into the Zoom for free because
Wow.
I have a whole training, and I've given it for, an hour and a half. So there was a group in Zimbabwe that reached out to me and they said, "We don't have the money to pay you, but would you give us a training that you see that is fit for us to have at year end?" And I said, "You know what? At this point, developing a success mindset will be the best thing that I can do so people can end the year
Mm,
with an openness of doing something big, something small, something different in their life
yes.
next year." So I'm going to send you that, because
Great.
that's going to be really good training, and even as I put it together, I'm like, oh, this is a gentle reminder to self too. So
Right.
yeah, so I mean, here's the thing: the decision to want something different is growth. The
Mm,
decision and openness to learning something new and something different, or enhancing something that is already within you, is growth mindset, because you're not the same. And when you shift your mind, or you shift the way that you do things or that you see things, growth happens.
mm,
and
right.
and openness to water yourself by allowing yourself to attend classes, meet with a coach, collaborate with other people. That's growth, and that's watering yourself and allowing others to water you. There's steps that we do, need to take, and I will go through in the training with that. Fixed mindset says, you know what? I'm going to do it until it happens because then I know that this works. But I've been doing this for 10 years or I've been doing this for 5 years and I'm not seeing the results or the proceeds. I'm staying in the same relationships. I'm staying in the same job. I'm staying in the same mindset, but nothing is moving.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to still continue to do it that way. That's a fixed mindset.
Mm, right. Thank you
Right.
for pointing that out. For
Yeah.
sure. You have such a beautiful way of explaining, and the growth mindset gets me excited to like, just like, you just want to get off here and go, okay, get my pen and paper. What can I do? You know,
Exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
That-
So you see, with us even doing podcasts and everything like this here, we didn't just start off by being comfortable being in front of the camera.
right,
It was like, oh,
right,
what do I say? What am I going to
right,
say? And then we came and, it was what it was. One
right.
person looks at it, two people look at it, and it's like, okay. So there's a time and, a season to everything, right?
100%.
And that's why I love the way that, also the journey to success is, it's
Mm,
sometimes long, it's tedious. But when you have arrived where you understand that I can control what I can control and surrender that which I can't control
hmm.
and allow God, the universe, higher power to show me that which I can control. Oh, it's so exciting.
It is. It is. It's such a gift. Such a gift. It's such a gift for us all, and we are
Yes.
all worthy to receive that gift.
Yes.
I promise you that. You know, this episode that you're doing tomorrow, this
Yes.
live event, is this going to
Yes.
be recorded also so people
I
can
will
still
I will record it and people will still see it on my channel. So it's
wonderful.
Dr. STEM. Be encouraged. You will also be able to see it on my Bouncing Back podcast with Dr. STEM, which is on YouTube as well.
Fantastic. And I am going to have all of your
The
contact
links, yes.
information in this as well. Gosh, I just can't thank you enough. It has been such an honor to have you on this show and to spend time with you. And just thank you so much for sharing of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.